You know, Bill, it's really cool to think about the process. And I personally, I love the, it's the short-term demand generation kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. But now we have the process. How do we get to COCA from there?
Yeah, yeah. It's like a riddle, but at least we have kind of a way to think about it.
Yeah.
As you said, short, medium, and long term, which is going to make the whole process much easier and much more logical.
So what are the concrete steps we need to undertake to get to the COCA number?
Yeah, so we're going to calculate the cost of customer acquisition, or estimate it, in the short term and medium term and long term. And they're going to be very different. We understand that. And the first thing we do is we pick a period. What are we going to do it within? Because we're going to be consistent. Is it if it's an app, it might be months. Because those things happen very, like fruit flies. Their life is very, very short. If it's an energy one, those things
years.
They take decades. So we're talking about at least a year. Now, with IT and software and things like that, usually a year is a good unit for them. That might seem a little short for energy. So let's assume that we're talking about an IT solution. Then we're talking about a unit of a year, all right? So in a year, how much will it cost for us to support this missionary sales, this direct sales model? And what are we paying all those people? And I talked about the salaries, the commissions, the planes, trains, and automobiles, and all the things that we have to do for them as well, socializing and demo units and all that. But also putting into this is the website. This is very expensive, develop a website. What about your outbound marketing? What about those trade shows that you went to?
Because all of that also supports the sales, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes through the whole sales process where we have to get leads, and then we have to convert those leads in. And someone will say, oh, I got a lead, and it only took me this long to do it, and therefore it didn't cost me that much. It only cost me, this always happens. It only cost me $5,000. Well, guess what? That was the one good case.
Yeah.
To get the one good case, you had to chase 20 leads. And that wouldn't be unusual. But at least it's usually 5 leads that you have to chase, and one turns into a real sale.
And some money was definitely spent chasing the unsuccessful leads.
Right, and you didn't know which one was going to happen. So for that one lead, you can't just say, oh, this is this is all the expenses related to that lead. You have to say, well, I didn't know that was the winner. So you have to include the other 4 as well. So now the cost of this probably just increased by 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And that's why people underestimate the cost of customer acquisition. So what we do is we take all those marketing and sales expenses for that time period of 1 year, and we just total them all up. And then we say, how many new sales did we get in that time period? And then we take the number of new units. So let's say it's, $100,000, and we had 4 sales. Well, then our cost of our COCA
25,000
is 25,000. That's right, 25,000.
And that accounts for all the sales you didn't close.
Exactly. But if I tried to just look at it and say, look at this one sale that I closed, I forget about those other ones.
Yeah.
So you have to get all your marketing and sales budget, and then you divide that by the number of new sales to get it. And that number will be shocking to people. They'll say, well, that's not really right. And well, the other thing that people do is they don't include, they say, well, I'm not paying myself, so it doesn't matter. Well, that's not a sustainable solution.
At some point, you will have to.
Right. As we know. You have a family, they have to eat, we have to eat, we have to pay rent. So you can't go on. So you have to estimate what you would pay yourself, or what you would pay an equivalent person to do that. And that's a realistic cost of customer acquisition. That will be probably very scary to you as an entrepreneur. But that being said, now let's go into, you have to invest. Your cost of customer acquisition is almost always going to be higher than your lifetime value of the customer. But as we move into the second, the medium term, now if we do the same thing, we get all our costs and we divide it by the number of new customers we get, that number should be much less. And we're starting to use indirect channels. Our website's starting to kick in. We're starting to get orders that we didn't have to go out and chase them down and hunt them down.
Yeah. And even though your total cost could be greater in the medium term, but you will close a lot more sales.
Exactly. And if you're not, then there's some problem, and you better slow down on your marketing and sales and figure out what it is. You don't just step on the gas if you don't know where you're going. But once you start to get those sales and you find out what's working, as you're going to see with our entrepreneurs that come on, that's when you start pouring more money into marketing and sales, and then you better see a lot more new customers. And then when you do see that, then your cost of customer acquisition is going to come down. And now in the medium term, hopefully that your cost of customer acquisition is now significantly below your LTV. But we're not done.